Hello, you're live on the ArchieLuxury channel. ArchieLuxury channel, and today we're discussing Rich Rudy's Super Wristwatch Collection. Rich Rudy's Super Wristwatch Collection. Can you say that 10 times in a row? Rich Rudy's Super Wristwatch Collection. Can you say that 10 times in a row, Clyde? I got to tell you, Clyve, this collection here has come under a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people felt his ego was out of control. But I've got a new convert to him, and that was you. You said after listening to his reasonings, you understand his collection. This is a complete about face. What happened? Tell me what happened.
Well, it was a really good interview. I mean, and, you know, I think part of it is that initially he kind of came across the wrong way. He almost sounded belligerent or defensive or acerbic, but even the second part, he even started out that way, the second one. But once he calmed down and actually started describing the pieces and the stories behind them and the philosophy behind them, it was actually really enjoyable. I thought it was one of the better interviews I've seen in a while.
Yes, that's pretty damn amazing there. I was just going to bring up a few snapshots of the collection, and
I may have just basically been mistaken. Maybe it was just passion at first.
It is. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about this, about jealousy. One thing in wristwatch collecting is we can very easily get jealous. The green monster, the green-eyed monster. And I got to tell you, sometimes the whole problem is you see these people who are doing reveals and unboxings. The whole point of this is to show the world how rich they are. For a lot of people, it's to say, hey, I'm better than you. And it can be very confronting. And I must tell you, the big problem with wristwatches is they are for decent stuff, okay? So we're not collecting shitters. We're not talking about shitters. Decent watches are very expensive. And it's I tell you what, it's very much, we're on this international stage now, and it can be very confronting when someone has more resources at hand than you do. It is a very, very confronting situation. Do you ever get jealous of people's collection?
No, as a matter of fact, by the way, thanks for helping me through a bit of a rough patch this weekend. I appreciate the advice and the encouragement.
No worries.
But I actually got a nice stress-relieving massage.
Yes. Actually, we're going to discuss that in the next video after this. We're going to do a live show, depression and high-end wristwatches.
Okay. But
I must tell you myself there, Clyve.
I saw my first AP in the. I saw my first Royal Oak in the wild just now.
Who had it?
Actually, the guy, I guess, running the massage parlor.
You're joking, aren't you?
No.
Did you talk to him about it?
A little bit, yes. As much as the language barrier, he needed a fair amount of English.
What sort of AP was it?
Kind of hard to tell, but it was dark. But I could basically
a Royal Oak.
It was a Royal Oak of some sort. Yes.
Offshore? Was it the sporty one or the classic one?
I think the offshore. It looked pretty sporty.
And yeah, okay, very, very good. Now, Clyve.
And he was delighted. He was delighted someone knew what it was.
Especially in Oklahoma.
Exactly, especially in Oklahoma.
Now, I got to tell you, with Rudy's collection there, it can be a bit confronting. I mean, you look at these pieces, a 5711 Patek, you know, that's a grail for a lot of people out there. They'd never be able to afford it. And to have so many super expensive pieces, it can be very confronting. And I had someone who said he likes to showboat. Have you heard that term before? Showboat.
Oh yes, absolutely.
But Rudy went to great lengths to tell me he's not a showboater. He's just trying to share the passion with the audience.
Absolutely.
And
that's actually one of the nice things about the channel that I enjoy. I get to see other people's toys. I get to listen to their philosophy. I get to hear the stories behind the watches.
He's also got a Yachtmaster with a blue dial, by the way. Did you see that?
I noticed that actually with the platinum bezel.
Yes, yes. And the only reason he has the Cartier is that it was given to him by a celebrity.
Right, and it's at least they gave him an automatic and not a quartz.
That was from the Bee Gees. One of the Bee Gees gave it to him.
That is a especially cool story.
I must say, I've fallen in love with the triple date. I think that's an amazing piece. I've also fallen in love with, I love his Royal Oaks. He's got 3 Royal Oaks, a classic Royal Oak, and 2 one offshore and 1 chronograph in rose gold. Beautiful.
And I like the story of trying it on at the AP dealership and falling in love with it. Just
actually
taking his breath away.
At the factory tour. He went on.
Factory tour, but he said at the end they had a place where you could literally try on every AP ever made, and he put that on and just put it on and blew him away. Who doesn't like a good story like that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the financial means to be able to walk out the shop with the watch, but we'll get to that later. The blank pane. I must admit, this guy has got a. So you're saying to me, you were wrong. You thought he was a bit of a showboater, but after seeing the interview, you understand where he's coming from. Is that right?
I understand his arguments. I mean, he knows. Okay, he has a lot of funds. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with some. There's always going to have people. There's always going to be people with more funds than you have. There's always going to be people with less. I'm lucky. I have the collection I have.
You're very lucky. You're extremely lucky.
But also the guy. I mean, like I said, he's been really into watches since he was 7. So I like the thought and the knowledge behind the pieces.
I did have one comment. I was speaking to another rich person this morning. This person is so rich they have a platinum world time.
Okay.
A 5110p. And he mentioned to me the only problem with Rudy's collection was that most of the pieces are still available in the boutique. You can go in there and buy them all, whereas he likes collections where the pieces and some of them are no longer available. And I think that's the only criticism I can throw at Rudy's collection is that it's a black Amex collection. You got enough money, you can buy it all new. You could walk in and get it, whereas having superseded models or the ones that aren't available anymore really shows your collector prowess. But an amazing.
I think he even discussed that well. It's just he doesn't want to have to worry about Franken watches or botched servicing. But it's not like he walked out with a briefcase full of Hublots or anything. Even with the black Amex card, you still have to have intelligence, and you have to have knowledge to know what you're doing.
Yes.
So respect. And he, even in the comments afterwards, I think he held his own with the NVCs pretty darn well. Actually, kind of matured discussion. He didn't. He basically said, "Well, I mean, the reason about Rolex is just like, look, it's mass produced, and I don't want to spend that kind of money to have the same watch everyone else does." And God knows I've had that. I've had the same thing before. That was one of my criticisms about the Submariner date.
Yes,
because everyone else has one. So it's just like you listen to that. It's just like, okay, that makes sense. There's always a certain degree of subjectivity to a collection behind it, but the reasons behind it were valid, and I could see the points behind it.
I see what you're saying there.
And he just basically stated his preference against Rolex, and even the point about, look, if I was a showboater, most of these brands, I could walk in with a Patek Philippe and stainless steel, no one will give it a second look. If I wanted attention, everyone knows what a Rolex is. So it's like, well, actually, that does kind of make sense.
Yes, I know what you're saying there. It's it can be a bit hard, but it can be very, very hard to confront these super collections. I mean, these super collections, how much money do these people really have? Can I ask you that? How much money do these guys have? They have more money than we would ever have. This is the whole thing. Some of these collections are outstanding, and it's not necessarily, this is what happens. We get a lot of egos get out of control here because it's easy to be jealous, Clyve. It's extremely easy. It's extremely easy. I mean, I wish, this is what the hard thing about watches is, if it doesn't hurt, it's really not worthy of collecting. Collecting $200 shitters, it's like a gamble. Let me explain this, okay? A gambler, you could say to a gambler, why don't you just play the 1-cent slot machines? No, because it doesn't feel like a win if you win $5 on a $2 slot machine. It only feels like you're winning. It only feels good when you're risking more than you should. It's like Kerry Packer. Kerry Packer was in the casino in Las Vegas, and he said to this guy complained about Kerry Packer's manners. And Kerry Packer goes, how much are you worth? 10, 20, 30 million? I'll flip you for it. and it's there's always, this is the
okay, but here's also the corollary, or the rationale behind it's got to hurt.
Yes.
Because it stops people. I mean, it forces people to do the homework, to think long and hard, and not just to give in to an impulse purchase. Purchases have to be equal amounts, logic and intellect and passion. So it's not like I don't think he went in and just did lunch order menu. I don't think he said, I'll have that one and that one and that one and that one and that one.
No.
He knows his stuff. He's got the knowledge and he's got the funds.
Do you ever get jealous?
No, actually not. Actually not, because and that was even one of the things he talked about. It's just like, well, a certain amount of fatalism, but it's just like, I could lose it all tomorrow. Yes. Might as well enjoy it today. Can't fault him for that.
Yes, I understand there. I must say, sometimes it's very easy when you look at this. See, a lot of people there, we could get very wowed by it. We see these people who have the super collection, the super collector. And it's very easy to get kind of, you think, geez, when you start comparing yourself to other people, it can only lead to sadness and sorrow. You've really got to be grateful for what you've got yourself and what you've achieved. And I got to tell you, you've got to be very careful. I myself, the one thing I love about collecting, my watches is that even though I'm not a very wealthy man, you would say I would be working class based on assets and net worth. You would say I'm working class. Okay, I'm at the bottom rung of society, right? Mm-hmm. But I've got a Patek, and I can talk to the billionaire collector. I can talk to Rudy, who's a multi-millionaire, I assume, with that sort of collection. and I've got something in common with them. Do you understand? We've both got a Patek. You understand?
Yes, I do.
And I mean, this is the whole thing, is that the wonderful thing about watches is for about 25,000 US dollars, you can swing with the big boys. You can be in this, like if you were in a Porsche, in a Ferrari club or a Porsche club, the cost of entry there is significantly higher.
Right.
Whereas in this club here, you can enter the Patek club for as little as you can get the cheapest Patek. You can get a quartz Patek. You can get one for like, you know, $4,000 or $5,000.
Exactly.
And this is the whole thing. Don't ever compare yourself to other people, because you're destined for disappointment.
Right.
And
but the follow-up question I actually had for Rudy is, what he's talking about is, you know, loves horology. He likes exclusivity. He doesn't want to wear the same watch everyone has.
Yes.
I wonder what he thinks about boutique brands.
Yeah, he kind of likes the established brands. Like I asked him about Richard Mille or FP Journe, and he said no. Just cover me for 1 minute there, Clyve.
Not a problem. Well, guys, I'm only set up with one laptop, so I'm going to try to go on the comments and look while he gets a phone call. Here we go. Sorry about the delay. Laptop, so I'm going to try to go on the comments and look. Oh, sorry about the feedback. Forgot to silence that. Archie would trust. What a ride Rudy was. And like I said, Jake Jones has another good point. Why so much controversy about Rudy's collection? He's got some great pieces. You don't need to like them all because they're not yours. And that's one of the things.
Sorry about that. I had a telemarketer on the phone. Can you believe that?
A telemarketer?
Yeah, I no longer answer no ID calls, by the way. That was it had an ID on it. I thought it was someone else ringing me. It had a similar number, but it was a bloody telemarketer. Now, Clyve, I got to tell you, what should you do? I want to give some advice to the viewers there. If you get very jealous of someone's collection, like this super collection, what should you do to relieve that jealousy?
Well, actually, if you decide to do something stupid like put on a ski mask and get a gun, call me after you get caught.
The other thing you can do is, instead of buying, you could have one decent watch and you could fill your box with shitters, couldn't you? See, there are other YouTube channels which do support people buying $20 watches.
Right.
There are some channels where they treat you the same for a $20 petrol station watch or a Patek Philippe.
Well, you know, it's a broad industry. It's still a lot of people in it. There's room for everybody.
I mean, if you feel jealous, what you need to do is you always pull down the winners. You just say, hey, your watches are suckful. You could say, why would you buy this? Why would you buy that when I can buy a watch for $20 that tells the time better than these ones?
Well, and even the earlier one, like I said, why did he have the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, especially by each other, when they look so much alike? And basically, actually, the well thought out response to it was, Gerald Gentry, he wanted the Holy Trinity, but he kind of thought, if I remember right, I think he said the IWC engineer had been watered down too much, and he only wants to buy current models, so. He didn't think the current IWC compared to the other two. It'd be the lesser sister to us. It's just like, you listen to it. It's well-rash. It's knowledgeable. It's well-reasoned. And what else do you want? I mean, otherwise it's just subjective, and that's like pancakes versus waffles.
I agree with you, Clyve. I absolutely agree with you. And I think Rudy's collection is 100%. Remember this, you may not like the guy himself, but you can't ever say his watches are crap, can you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I mean, like I said, so even though he could have, apparently has the resources, he still has the knowledge and he put in the effort. So you got to respect that.
You got to respect. Kudos. And Clyve, let's kill this one here. Let's do another one here. I want to talk about treating depression with luxury wristwatches. Can we talk about that next?
All right. Now, if someone needs any advice on how to treat depression with luxury wristwatches, what resources would these people have available?
They can contact a psychiatrist in their local area for about $400 an hour, or for $50 US, they can talk to ArchieLuxury. $50 US. I give phone support. I can give you advice, Skype or WhatsApp. I'm available for you. $50 US an hour. We can discuss anything you want. I'll give it a poke. I'll give it a go. If I don't know the topic, I will try my best. I will ask you questions while I Google the answer. Okay? So I'm available. Truth in advertising. So I'm available, $50 US an hour. Please look in the description. Email me, archieluxury72@gmail.com, and I would be more than honored to answer your horological, financial, personal, relationship problems.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Rudy really did the first interview, and actually the first part of the second one, he really rubbed me the wrong way. But towards the end of the interview, I was actually really liking the guy.
Yes. Yes.
You know, respect. You know, you don't have to like someone to give them respect us.
No, that's exactly. Respect us. Wow, I can't believe this. You've come full circle. It is a beautiful collection. I love it. I really do love Rudy. Rudy is a good friend of mine. You know, I really do love Rudy. Rudy is a good friend of mine, and a couple $100 fixed everything. So, guys, I'm available. I'm available. So please get those calls in now. Let's talk about treating depression with luxury wristwatches.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir. Very good.